Brent, you're one of the hardest working men in show business. I mean, I think this is the second time we've had a chance to speak in like the last 3 months. I got the shirt. I got the
Dude,
shirt.
come on, man. You rule. That is so rad.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally, when
yeah.
it popped up, I saw you wearing the shirt. I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna make me you're gonna get me verklempt. I'm gonna start I'm gonna get red in the cheeks. I'm gonna start getting moist.
Where are you, man? Are you in a hotel?
I am. I'm actually I'm in Boston right now because
Okay.
I'm out here. We just got done doing 2 shows. We did Chicago with Smith and Myers, me and Zach, and we just did Columbus, Ohio, which Columbus was 800 cars, 4 people a
Wow.
car, because we're doing drive-ins right now. It was
Yeah,
pretty extraordinary. It's pretty wild to see it like that, but
yeah.
we're being super, super diligent, being very, very safe. We go through a massive checklist with these drive-in shows because the county has to, the county has to sign off on it. The mayor of the city has to sign off on it.
Wow.
The governor of the state has to sign off on it. We have to make sure that we're in contact with the chief of police, the health department.
Oh,
There's a lot that goes into putting these shows on, but the last 75 days, actually now longer, like the last 90 days, I've been on 25 planes, and I think I've gone to 14 different cities. I have been in Charleston working on Shinedown #7 with Eric.
That's cool.
But with everything that's going on with Smith and Myers, obviously last Friday, the release of Volume 1, busy.
Well, congratulations on the release, and of course, Volume 2 is on the way here at the end of the month. Yeah.
23rd of October.
Yeah, and the money raised with Atlas Falls. Tell me a little bit about the campaign and how that worked for you. You're still continuing to raise money with Atlas Falls, yeah?
Yeah. So that shirt you're wearing right there is a huge part of that. Back in March when everybody was in disarray, if you will, we found out about an organization called Direct Relief. We've since, now 8 months in. We partnered with them, created that shirt, took Atlas Falls out of a vault, which was a song that no one had ever heard.
Yeah.
We did that to put out something into the world, a showing of optimism and strength, and to give people confidence. But 100% of the proceeds of the shirt goes to Direct Relief. And if people don't know what Direct Relief is, they're the Calvary.
Yeah.
They work with all 50 states, and they also work with over 100 countries. They're handling a lot of wildfires right now in California.
Yeah.
They're also in Ecuador right now, dealing with a lot of issues that are going on there. Obviously, still with the pandemic here, they have a massive presence when it comes to that. But if people don't know, their main objective is to, during times of crisis, making sure that the medical community, the scientific community, these men and women have the resources that they need on the ground to save as many lives as possible. So whether it's a pandemic, poverty, a natural disaster, that's when Direct Relief steps in.
And you guys are what, at $300,000 for that? Maybe a little more than 300,000? A little over 40 million, right?
To date, we've raised, I think we're over the $500,000 mark. I just sent the first installment check. The band had already, back in March, given $20,000 to kind of start the campaign up with Atlas.
Yeah.
So there was $20,000 there. I just sent a check in, the first installment, for $230,000. The next installment happens in December. But yeah, people like yourself who supported the song and the shirt and the organization and just the fan base from a global standpoint, because they are a global company. We've been able to raise over $500,000. You can also go to directrelief.org. You can donate $5, $10. You don't have to donate anything, but you can kind of educate yourself as into who Direct Relief is, because they're extremely important. They're one of the only charities that give you a running tally on their front page of how much, like where those dollars are going and what countries are getting what and what's being sent. So they show you exactly where that money is going. But yeah, as of right now, we've raised over $500,000 and counting.
Very cool. Well, congratulations on all that. Talking about the Smith and Myers project, Brent, I know you're a big supporter of the military. I do know of a few Midwestern radio stations refusing to play Not Mad Enough because they feel it's an anti-police song or it's an anti-Trump song. What would you say to them? I'm just curious.
Well, to be honest with you, that's the first I've heard of that. But I would say that the reality of so for your listeners, I have to kind of be very open about the song, because the song is about right and wrong, ultimately. When the pandemic hit in March, we were in the midst of writing both volumes, doing the cover songs that we had chosen, the reimagining of that, and then for the first time ever doing 10 original songs as Smith and Myers. And so that all got halted. We were 17 songs done. And then in March, when we found out about the pandemic, I made sure, because we were in California, I made sure that Zach got home to his family. Our producer, Dave Bassett, went to Hawaii, was only supposed to be there for 5 days, and got quarantined there for 16 weeks. I sheltered in place in California for 19 weeks, waiting on Dave to get back, because we had 3 original songs left to write for the project. By the time he got back, we took that first week and kind of reviewed where we left off. And then I remember at the end of that week, I went back to my hotel that I was quarantined in for 19 weeks. And I never turned the TV on, 20 years of touring, but for whatever reason I did. And that night, I, like the rest of the world, I watched what happened to George Floyd. And I had the wind knocked out of me, and along with everybody else in the world. And I wrote the words, and I wrote the song Not Mad Enough that evening. I had no choice. The song really kind of came to me in a flood.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important for people to understand something. In a lot of ways, I wish the song had never been written, because I wish the man was still alive.
Right.
And I wish that he was with his daughter. And I know that right now people are on such a heightened level of a divide, between us as a country, what we're dealing with this pandemic. But I'm here to tell you something, and this is my opinion. It should never matter whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're younger, whether you're older. The color of your skin, that's irrelevant. Your religion, that's your business. Look, I would tell people that what we're trying to do here is expose conversations that aren't happening. If you're like me, when people scream at me, I stop listening. I don't listen when you're yelling at me.
Right.
And that was part of what we wanted to do with Not Mad Enough, because of the message inside of that song. We weren't trying to scream at the audience. We weren't trying to shove this down your throat. You know what I mean? We're making a statement about humanity. And we're also making a statement about we've got to be able to calm down enough to be able to have constructive conversations, but then actually take those conversations and create real action and move forward, because that's the only way we're going to have a future together. And it's not impossible, and we can get through this. But look, I knew that certain people were going to have issues, maybe because they weren't educated about the song and what the song is really saying. It's justifying our race. And when I mean our race, I'm talking about every race.
The human race.
The human race, man. It's about, being a human being, for Christ's sakes, and the side of it too is it should never be about red states and blue states, man. It's supposed to be about the United States. And that's something that's getting lost. And it says it on the front page of the Constitution. It's the biggest print on the front of the Constitution. We the people. We put these people in office to represent us, but they're not God. You know what I mean? You have to start listening. You have to start educating yourself. And the other side of it too, man, to watch what certain, media groups are doing, especially social media. If you unplug from that for a moment and go out in the real world, people aren't trying to start fights with each other. They're trying to help each other. I've been to, like I was just saying, I've been to, in the last 75 days, 90 days, I've been to 14, 15 different cities, and I'm very alert. I'm very open-minded, and I'm watching. People are trying to help each other. They're not trying to start fights. They're not trying to put people in a corner. You know, people are trying to lift each other up. They're trying to do what they can for their fellow neighbors and what have you. And once again, I've often said this, and I mean it. Human beings are resilient, but human beings, we are also at our best when we need each other. And we really, really need each other right now.
Yeah, I hear it. Hey, let's switch gears real quick. We lost a legend in rock music last week with the passing of Eddie Van Halen. If somebody asked you, Brent, to contribute a song to, I don't know, an Eddie Van Halen or maybe a Van Halen tribute album, I'm just curious, what song would you want to cover? Because you guys have done some remarkable covers. Not that you're a cover band, but you've done some remarkable covers over the span of a career. Have you ever contemplated or thought about that?
I haven't. I mean, if we were asked to do something like that, I mean, hands down, it would probably be the song Right Now.
Okay. All right.
You know, that's, I got nothing but love for David Lee Roth, but you know, I had the pleasure of actually being on the road with Eddie Van Halen back in 2003 with our debut album, Leave a Whisper. We did 2 months on the road with him. And for whatever reason, me and Eddie kind of hit it off. It was probably because, like, I didn't grow up with Van Halen.
Yeah.
I knew who he was. I knew who the band was, but you know, I think it was, he took a liking to me because I didn't want anything from him. And he was just the most amazing human being. He really was one of the sweetest, kindest, most generous guys, you know?
Yeah.
And, but I would, you know, Sammy was great to us. I just remember, I have a lot of fond memories of those 2 months and being on tour with him.
So you probably already answered the next question. If you were going to do a duet with somebody on said tribute album, David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, probably be Sammy then, yeah?
I would be a little selfish and ask if I could do two. I would
okay.
say,
One with each.
I would be, can I do Right Now with Sammy, and could I do Running with the Devil with David?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, okay, so back to Smith & Myers. Double release. What surprises are in store for volume number 2 that people might not know about yet?
It's honestly a different temperature. It's not kind of like, oh, these are just, you know, the ones that they didn't want to put on the first volume. It's just, you know, whatever they had lying around. It's not that at all. It's it's got a different, I guess it has a bit of a different heart, if that makes sense, than volume 1 does. The songs are a bit different. I would say in the second volume, the originals are a bit more lighthearted than in the first volume. And the cover choices in volume 2 are the same. They're a little bit more lighthearted. Okay. Volume 1 is very heavy.
Yeah.
Like lyrically, subject matter, and what have you. But that's what's necessary, man. I mean, I've often said that, you know, I started writing songs not because I wanted to be famous. I started writing songs because I have something to say. And I've also told people before, you know, I also write songs because it's cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, no
so that, you know, it's I try to find the positive, you know, and the good naturedness in it. But yeah, volume 2 is a little bit more lighthearted.
Okay. Are there any songs that you've put together with Smith & Myers as that project that you wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable doing as Shinedown?
Well, that's the whole point of the project in the first place, is that if we wanted to go in and do an acoustic Shinedown record and write, you know, new songs or cover songs as Shinedown, then we would have gone in and as Shinedown, we would have made a Shinedown acoustic record with covers and originals. That's not what this is. Why would you do a carbon copy of the band you're already in? Mm-hmm. And people are starting to really understand it now that it's out, and they can hear, they're hearing all of those interviews that I did prior where I said, if you're looking for this to be Shinedown acoustic, that's not what you're going to find.
Yeah.
This is a different project. It's a duo. It's not a group. It's not a band. It's me and Zach.
And in essence, it is you and Zach. But were there any other players putting some coloring on that you guys worked with for the album?
No, it was myself. All the instrumentation is done by me and Zach, and our producer Dave
Okay.
Bassett.
Okay.
The other side of that too, is it is very much at its core. There's not a lot of extra instrumentation in this. A lot of the songs are just one instrument, whether it be piano or a guitar and a vocal. There's a couple of things that have some rhythm underneath it and a couple of sprinkles, if you will, of some other sounds, some other instrumentation, but not a lot.
Okay.
Also, the project was, recorded by our videographer Sanjay, the entire process. So the
Oh,
time that we
cool.
were there was a camera rolling
Yeah.
at all times. So there's going to be a lot of content that's getting ready to come out for people. That's we're going to kind of push the curtain back, if you know what I mean, and we're going to
Yeah.
let people into the actual writing process and how we put all this together.
Very cool. I've got to say, Brent, having known you for the past, more than a decade, almost 20 years now since the first album came out, you look and sound better today, I think. And I've actually gone back and watched some of the videos from 10, 15 years ago, through
Yeah.
sobriety and everything else. Are there
Yes.
songs that were early Shinedown songs that are harder to perform today than when you wrote it, or because of your health and your sobriety and everything else, is the catalog relatively still easy for you to hit?
I can first of all tell you, I have no choice but to be at a certain level physically
Yeah.
to do all of the Shinedown songs. When I walk into a studio and it's time to do the vocals, my guys have joked with me over the years. They're like, "You love to just bring a shovel to vocal day." So you're just digging yourself a hole, man.
You're gonna have to do this song
You have
18
to do this
million
every night,
times.
dude.
Yeah.
The thing about that is to be totally honest with you, it's never been easy.
Yeah.
And if it was easy, I wouldn't do it. I think that there's a reason why, like, it's one of the reasons why I am massively nervous when the lights go down and
Yeah.
before the curtain drops. It's usually in my mind, I'm like, just get to the first chorus.
Yeah.
Once I'm at the first chorus, I start to kind of settle in. But I would be really, really concerned if I wasn't nervous. Like,
Yeah.
it lets me know I'm alive.
Yeah. And that you
But
care about what you're doing.
yeah, and I mean, sometimes, going back, like with Simple Man, that was an accident how that happened, but it's a part of who we are as a band. But it's amazing, man, that I think about songs like 45, Fly from the Inside, even from the second album, I Dare You, Heroes, and obviously Save Me. Those two records were a defining moment for me as a songwriter. And then obviously what transpired with the rebirth, really, of the band with the Sound of Madness. But I think about you yourself and how much support you've given this band, Shinedown, that is, over the years. It's I don't know if I could say thank you enough for that, because 27 singles, 6 records. I'm actually we're 9 songs in to the writing process for Shinedown number 7 right now.
Is that the working title, or have you? Is it that's?
It's a
gonna be
working
the name of
title
the
right
album?
now, just because
Okay.
we're in the demo process at the
Yeah.
moment. We're just writing, but and then recently, I still kind of don't know how to rationalize the fact that we hold the most number ones for the mainstream rock chart in the United States. I don't know how to like digest that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm massively grateful, So to answer, the other part of that question, when I think about the first 2 albums in the younger days, my age and what have you, I always try to go back to the first time I sang those songs. And so each night that I sing a song that might be 20 years old or, even a decade, I think about the fact that a lot of people in the audience, it may be the first time that they're seeing Shinedown, and it might be that they've waited years to see us. So I'm singing for them just as much as I'm singing for the fan that's in the front row that's seen 200 shows. I never phone it in, man. I'm always trying to
Yeah.
give people my absolute 100% best.
Very cool. I've got one last question for you. I know you've got other stuff going on, and we're going to
It's
lose
all
our
good,
time
man.
here. But okay, so just kind of fast forward. Let's say the vaccine is released, the pandemic hysteria is over soon after the election. What would a return to touring life look like for you? Would it be Smith and Myers or Shinedown? Maybe both?
So that is a extremely broad question, and I appreciate the question. With the relationship that we have now with Direct Relief, that has afforded us the ability to talk to a lot of medical professionals that are dealing with this pandemic and have been dealing with it from day one. The consensus is this, from the scientific community and the medical community. And these are, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but this is coming from doctors, and I feel very, very honored. I've actually been able to meet these individuals.
Yeah.
They all have the same comment when it comes to how do we get on the other side of this?
Right.
All pandemics have one thing in common, and that is they all ended. The reality of that, though, is you don't eradicate a virus. You have to become immune to it by either getting it and developing the antibodies to fight it off, or you're inoculated. So when you talk about a vaccine, 70% of the planet, not just North America, 70% of the planet has to take it. And then from that, it takes another gradual amount of time. It can be 6 months, it could be a year. It really does depend on once the vaccine is available and they know that it's proper, that people actually will take it. Upon that, what I think you will see is eventually it will run out of people to infect, because people will just be, over time, we will become herd immune.
Right.
I think that when you talk about venue size and you talk about audiences, anything that's 10,000 people and more, I think that you may be able to possibly see some states and some countries by July of next year opening it up. I don't know about full capacity, but possibly 75%. So you may have an arena that holds 18,000 and they do 10,000.
Right.
You may see a stadium that holds 80,000 do 60,000, 45,000. I think that you will see a change in the way that shows and sporting events, any kind of like mass gatherings where it's for entertainment, doors will be earlier. I think the days of like 4 bands is kind of done for a while. I think you're probably going to be looking at max maybe 3 bands, because you're going to need to add an extra hour and a half, especially if it's sold out. You're going to have different exit areas and entrance areas. You're going to see, I've already started to see them actually. There are these kind of real slender new temperature gauges where they're super fast. You literally just get in front of it real quick. You'll see a picture of yourself. It puts like a little red line over your forehead. It takes your temperature just like that. The person on the other side, they see if you got a temperature or not, they let you through. If you got a temperature, they're like, come right over here real quick. Let's let you calm down, let you cool off a minute. Let's take your temperature again. Those kind of things. You're going to see that as a new normal, but I don't want people to like jump back from the term new normal. Look, having better standards of sanitation is not a bad thing.
Not bad.
It's not bad. You know what I mean? I don't like comparing this though to 9/11. A lot of people are doing that. It's different.
Completely.
This is different than that. People have already been very, very patient. I think that, if you really wanted to see a real poll, not a political poll, but a real poll as to if people feel afraid to be around each other in mass gatherings, with a lot of people, Live Nation, which is one of the biggest conglomerates for live music on the planet, not just in North America, they gave everybody this year, every tour that they were doing, they gave people the option of, we will either refund your ticket at 100%, or you can hold on to your ticket for what we will reschedule next year. 89% of ticket holders held their tickets.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, there you go. It is essential, and I know I'm, no pun intended. It is essential that we are able to be around each other again. Human beings were not meant to be apart like this. But the fact of the matter is we're learning about how to handle this, and we're learning about, I'm hoping, how when another pandemic arrives, because it will happen, that we know what to do because of this, and we don't have to go through this again.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, I think that more than anything, people need to understand something. If you've noticed a lot of musicians being, mum, if you've noticed a lot of celebrities being, it's because they don't have an answer. It's not because they don't care. It's just they don't have an answer. They don't know when shows are going to be able to come back again.
Yeah.
And, they don't want to give people misinformation. But I can tell you this, it will come back. Will it come back in a speedy existence? I don't have the answer to that. The number one priority is always going to be the audience's safety. When we do these drive-in shows, we've had no issues, but it takes a lot of work to put these shows on, because a lot of people have to check the boxes on everything. But man, dude, the people that are coming to these shows, they're not trying to rock the boat. They're being as compliant as possible. They're being cordial. They're being just appreciative to be able to come out and see live music. We will get it back, and it will come back to where we're together again. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen by next year around the summertime? I do believe in some areas of the world it will. But a full recovery, I don't know. I don't want to be the guy that says, yeah, it'll be back to 100% normal in 2022. The issue with that is if we don't figure out economically what to do pretty quickly here, we're going to have double the poverty rate by June of 2021 if we don't figure out what to do here in regards to economics.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed that we get to see you back out on the road in a much more normal capacity sooner than later. I mean, the drive-in thing sounds awesome. If you guys decide to take that across the country, we have a drive-in theater right here in town. So love to see.
Hey man, right now we're looking to do it where we can. It is getting colder because we're moving into November, so it's a little tougher to do it in some locations.
Yeah.
But just know that we're working really, really hard with everybody, in North America and abroad, to make sure that we can get back to people being together again, and it will happen.
Yeah.
But the fan base with us, their health and safety is our number one priority. We're never going to put people in a situation that's detrimental. We're not going to do that.
Well, Brent, I appreciate the time again this morning, and best of luck with everything. Can't wait to hear Volume 2. We love you out here on the West Coast, and I hope
love you right back.
Man. All right, brother. Thanks for the time today.
Thanks so much for all the support with everything. I can't, there are not enough thank yous in the day, man. And to the city and everybody, just we adore you. Stay focused, stay healthy, take care of one another, and we'll see you sooner than later.
All right. Sounds good, man.